I tripled my income by moving to Dubai, essentially. I think I did that within about 2 years. Hi, welcome to my channel. So in this video, we're going to be talking about 5 things that you must know before you start considering moving or working abroad. Stay tuned to the end of the video where I'll let you know the most important one that personally, if you offered me $1 million to make a move abroad, I would not do it because it's just not worth it. I'm going to talk about these 5 things from the perspective of someone who's been working abroad professionally for nearly 8 years now. Each one of these 5 points are relevant regardless of what it is that you're trying to do abroad, whether you're a digital nomad, you're studying abroad, you're working abroad professionally with a company, or even if you're starting up your own business, because these are points that you can easily miss in the whole process of you researching where you should move to and what your lifestyle is going to be. The first point is that you need to know exactly how to manage your money. Of course, you'd have probably planned your budget before you moved and figured out how much you need for your first 3 to 6 months. If you haven't, then like, what is wrong with you? Because this is something that you need to have covered and planned out, because you don't want to move to a different country and be stuck. And I'm not just talking about your budget for the trip, the journey, your first 3 months or whatever, but your spending habits when you get there. So of course you probably know how much it is that you're going to be earning if you're getting a job. If you're a student, you might know how much that you've saved to live when you get to the country. However, what some people miss, especially professionals, people who are going abroad for work and setting up their own business, whether they're digital nomads or whatever, is what they're gonna do with all of the extra money that they're earning when they're living abroad. So for example, for me, I tripled my income by moving to Dubai. Essentially, I think I did that within about 2 years. I moved companies and stuff, so if you want some guidance about how to make sure that you find a good high-paying job when you move abroad, click the link below and I have some resources for you. One of the things that someone said to me as soon as I moved here is, look, you don't want to be that person who's come to Dubai, is not paying any taxes, is living your best life, and then after like 2 years you go home and then you have no money, you have no savings. One of the key things that differentiates expats from people who are resident in their normal country is the fact that you are no longer paying tax, or you might be paying less tax depending on the country that you move to. So in Dubai we don't pay any tax, and that's compared to the UK where I'm originally from, where my tax rate was about 40 to nearly 50% in some cases. So if you think about it, I am earning way more than what I used to earn in the UK, and you're living your best life, you're traveling, you're doing all of these amazing things, but forgetting that you no longer have a pension. So if you're living and working abroad in a different country, you're no longer contributing to your home pension, which means that you are not stocking up your, what do Americans call it? 401k. This means that in your retirement, you're not probably going to have as much money as other people who have been steadily paying into the pot, because essentially you have been getting that money in your pocket and you have been spending it. So this is why a budget is so important, because we see this so often in Dubai. There are so many Friday flossers at brunch and they're partying and they're living their best life, and then when it's time for them to go home, they're like, oh crap, I don't have any money. And the worst part of this is, imagine if you've been earning multiple 6 figures for like years, and then you go home and then you're back in the position that you were before you moved abroad. How bad is that? That's not going to be us. On this channel, we are financially responsible. So if you're all about that life, if you're all about living your best life, traveling, working abroad, learning how to improve yourself when you're living in a different country, make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Leave a comment below. Do you know any of those Friday flossers in the country where you live? We have them plenty. I've seen them here, I've seen them in Hong Kong, I've seen lots of them in Singapore as well, and it's a well-known story in the expat community. The second thing that people seem to forget is that time goes by fast. So fast. I think especially as you get older, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm like, where the hell has 2019 gone? I remember at the start of this year just moving to Colombia and like starting a completely new experience, and I'm like, it's November already and I'm back in Dubai. Like, what the hell? You need to have a plan, an outline, a strategy of the stuff that you want to do while you're living in the country that you've chosen to move to. So, for example, if you are moving somewhere for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, it doesn't make a difference. You probably have ideas of things that you want to do, like traveling, networking, and seeing the most out of that country. And let me tell you, there are so many people that reach out to me in their last 2 weeks in Dubai, and they're like, oh my God, I'm leaving, I'm going back to London. What do you think should be my bucket list thing to do before I leave? And I'm like, didn't you have this when you came here? Or even in the course of the time that you've lived here, what is it that you wanted to do? So for example, I have friends now that it was on their bucket list to live in Burj Khalifa, which is the biggest tower in Dubai in the world, I think it is. And they've done that. So they've lived in Dubai for maybe 3, 4, 5 years, and it's their last year. They know that they're going home, and they're like, do you know what? YOLO, I'm going. This was on my list. I've always wanted to do this, and they do it. And I think that that's so nice, because you go back home with awesome memories of your experience living abroad and living in a different country. But it's better for you to plan this out at the outset. Of course, leave some flexibility. You never know what it is that you want to do until you're fully on the ground, as we say in Nigeria. But it's something that you need to consider about how fast time moves when you are living in a different country. The next thing that it seems like a lot of people forget in their haste to move to a new country and have a new life experience is the fact that your working culture can make or break your experience. This is mostly relevant for people who are doing the whole entrepreneurship journey, or you're working for a company, and less so for study abroad, right? But I guess there are some parallels, right? The culture of the school that you're moving to can have a big impact on what your life is like when you live there. And guys, mental health is so important, and this is why you need to think about every aspect of the culture matrix, because people tend to think about, oh, it's just what are the people like, but importantly, what is the way the people work like? Does that make sense? You know what I mean? What is the working culture like? So I'll give you an example. When I've worked in America, I've been very fascinated by the fact that some people just love bragging rights of the time that they've spent in the office, which meant that they are not very productive. And obviously this is a sweeping generalization and it doesn't apply to everyone, but I noticed this in some of the legal environments that I've worked. I'm not going to name any names, but the whole point is that in London and in Dubai, people come into the office, and as lawyers you have to work long hours. This is what we do, unfortunately. But if you're done with your work, you go home. You don't hang around. There's not too much FaceTime culture, depending on the company that you work with, of course. But I found that in the US, people yeah, man, I was here till 3 a.m. last night. And I'm like, why? Did you need to be here till 3 a.m.? Because 3 a.m. is, unfortunately, yes, lawyers do work that long. And I've done lots of all-nighters where I haven't left the office in 2 days, but it's because I had to, not because I was just doing that so that people could sit around and say, oh my God, did you see how long she worked the other day? And this is a thing that has a big impact on your mental health and your quality of life, because I don't want to work somewhere. I don't want to move to a country where the expectation is for me to just live in the office, that there's way more to life. So that's the kind of example that comes to mind when I'm trying to explain this whole working culture thing. Another thing that people seem to forget or usually minimize is the impact of the distance and the time difference between your home country and the place that you're moving to. So this is one of the reasons why it's very, very, very unlikely that you will ever hear me say that I'm moving to somewhere like Australia. I mean, never say never, but Australia is just so far away from the countries that I call home. So Nigeria and the United Kingdom. And for me, where family and being connected to my friends is very, very important, I just don't think that that level of upheaval is feasible for me. And the cost of me going home if there's an emergency or anything like that is just so much that I just think it's better for me to just consider other countries like in Asia, elsewhere in the world, or if I were moving to Australia, it would probably just be for fun for a few months, but nothing long term, because I think realistically I wouldn't want to be so far away from my friends and my family. This last point is one of the most important ones because it truly affects how much you enjoy your new life. And essentially, this is a question of whether your lifestyle and the culture of your new home, do they match? So you have to think about a number of factors before accepting that $1 million job. So I'll give you an example. Think about whether you can actually survive where you're going to. So personally, I'm a young black woman, and I know for a fact that there are many countries that I would not move to no matter how much they were paying me. And sometimes it may not be because the country is racist, although there are a lot of countries that give me a big question mark. I won't name any names because I don't want to offend people on this platform, and I also don't want to make sweeping generalizations, but I will give you an example. When I was trying to make this big push at work to be transferred abroad, my top countries were not available. So one of the options that they gave me was to consider moving to Poland. Nothing wrong with Poland, but I am a tropical chick. Like, I love the sun, and this is why I'm so happy living in Dubai. I can go to the beach on weekends, and I hated the cold in London. If I hate the cold in London, why would I want to move to Poland in the wintertime? That is not going to work. I will be depressed. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, is it seasonal affective disorder? I was convinced I had that in London because my mood was just always crap around the wintertime. And then in the summer when it's sunny, I'm so happy and it's almost like a different person. And I know that quite a few people have this issue. So I'm like, look, Poland is great and all, but this is not gonna be a place that's gonna work for me. And there's no amount of money that's worth your mental sanity and peace of mind. Trust me. So I think it's so important to really dive deep into the culture of the place that you're moving to and look at your lifestyle. What is your personality? What type of people do you like hanging out with? All of these things are things that you should consider before hopping up, packing up your bags and moving to a new country. I hope this video has been useful. Thumbs up, like it below, and let me know what your thoughts are. Are you living somewhere that you are having a great time, or have you lived in a country where you're just like, get me out of here? Share your experiences below, and if you've got any tips to share with our community, make sure you do so. Until next time, bye.